Hi, it's Alicia from the Pretty Brown Eyed Reader. I'm coming today with my June wrap-up. I already filmed some of the wrap-up of two books that I read for the month, and those were the ones that I read during Cribathon, and so I will link the video for those two books in the description box. So some other reading that I did during the month of June was I read a book called The Bridal Suite by Rochelle Alers. So that was a romance, a contemporary romance that is set in New York and in New Orleans. And it's about a young woman, Nydia, who is moving to New Orleans because one of her former co-workers, inherits an inn. She is asked to be a business partner in it. This is a series that's based off of a set of coworkers who get laid off and all wind up relocating to New Orleans to help with this end. So Nydia is the latest of that set. This is the first book that I've read in the series. I believe it's called the Inheritance series. But it was fabulous. I think I will actually go back and read the other ones. And with Nydia, she finds romance in New Orleans, and of course it comes with some complications, but it's a very fast read, and you could feel the author does a great job of giving you a feel of what New York feels like as opposed to New Orleans. So I would say definitely give The Bridal Suite a look at. Next book in my reading was an advanced copy of Memorial Drive by Natasha Tretheway. And that is a copy of the cover. It is a picture of Natasha and her mom, Natasha as a baby and her mom. And it's a memoir regarding her mother being killed at the hands of her stepfather when she was a freshman in college. Natasha is a poet, and her lyrical writing comes through as she's describing this intense situation that her mother went through during her childhood and early adulthood, and how Natasha was dealt with it. And it's a very interesting memoir because you get to see what domestic abuse looks like from the hand of the victim, the abuser, as well as a child. I was just blown away by the memoir. It took me like 2 days to read it. And so it does have those trigger warnings. If you can't deal with violence and reading about domestic abuse, it probably is not going to be a memoir for you. But if you want to, if you can handle those things, her writing definitely does not disappoint, and it pulls you into her life, and you get to see a different side of her. Because I've only known the poetry side, and with her poetry, she often talks about, because Natasha her dad was white, her mom was black. So she generally talks a lot about race and being biracial in her poetry. I'm not sure if I ever read anything where she talks about her mother's death. But anyway, definitely give a Memorial Drive a try. I believe it's scheduled to be published in July. So it should be coming out by the end of the month. The next book that I read was a book called We Are Called to Be a Movement by Dr. William Barber, and I don't have a cover of it. It came out in early June, in early June. And Dr. Barber, he's a activist as well as a pastor, and he's very much into the Poor People's Campaign that was started by Dr. King and Pastor Abernathy before Dr. King's death, and that push that they were trying to make about economic injustices in America. This We Are Called to Be a Movement is a sermon that Dr. Barber did 2 years ago. It was released in June as a short nonfiction. So the sermon, and then they added some additional things to it. So it took literally less than 2 hours to read. And Dr. Barber talks about sometimes we have this separation between church and activism, and not realizing that that's the principle of Christianity is justice. So why wouldn't we be called to be a movement? And he gives very specific data from different social scientists. He gives scripture. He gives personal narrative, all wrapped up into that. and talking about what a movement in America needs to look like. So I know there's been a lot of anti-racist reading lists going around, but for me, I've read a lot of the books that are already floating around, and I just needed something different to read and something that helps me in my faith to make sure that I'm doing the right things. And so this book definitely hit that spot. My last read for the month, and that's Linden Hills, and that's by Gloria Naylor. So Gloria Naylor is my girl. She is an author that I really enjoyed reading, and I had not read Linden Hills before, so this was a first time read for me. And it very much parallels, it's like a retelling of Dante's Inferno. To me, the main theme of this book is success is a trap. And you have these people living in this fictional place called Linden Hills, and everybody ascribes to wanting to be at the bottom. It's success. That's supposedly where the more successful people in this community are living, at the bottom. So as they work their way up into society, they are working their way down into Linden Hills. It's told through two guys, so much like Dante's Inferno with Dante and Virgil. They work their way through a neighborhood working for different people in the neighborhood, and you get a glimpse of those types of people in that neighborhood. This was part of a discussion that several of us did on Bookstagrammer with a special kind of double. I've mentioned her before. She's going through this list called the Zora Canon of Black female writers. And Gloria Naylor's Linden Hills is on that list. And the discussion, it was epic. We literally went 3 hours and we tried to do the parallel between Dante and Linden Hills, and it was just so in depth. I still don't think we covered everything. I think you probably would take a month, probably a month to just actually dissect. And it's not a long book. It's only like 300 pages. But the symbolism and her writing and the clues and the way she presents the different people in the Linden Hills, amazing. Definitely read Gloria Naylor. Linden Hills, just excellent. So I hope that you had a good reading month. I know it's the beginning of the summer, but we're still under pandemic conditions. We still have racial unrest. But books are often a place that we can go to learn, to escape, to just feel human. And so that's what reading has done for me for the month of June, and I am so appreciative of all the writers that have put forth their work. So until next month, I'll come back with another wrap up. I hope you have a good one. Take care.